Namaste, everyone, and welcome to the full moon meditation. And it's Friday here in the United States and the rest of the world. I guess it's Saturday. So, in the Indian tradition, they celebrate what is called Guru Purnima, or the full moon dedicated to the spiritual teacher. What we're going to do is just kind of talk a little bit about that and then kind of apply it in our everyday life. First of all, though a lot of you are new, every time we have full moon, we have several thousand people that are new that join us. So let me just talk about why we meditate during the full moon. So just imagine you throw fertilizer in the ground, everything grows. The flowers, the fruits, and the weeds. Well, during the full moon, there's a lot more energy, spiritual energy pouring down to the earth. So positive qualities as well as negative qualities get magnified. The example my teacher used to say is when you have three people going to the lake, one has a small cup, one has a bucket, one has a big old drum, and if they go to the lake and come back and have their containers full or filled, who has the most amount of water? So obviously the guy with the bigger container, the drum. Exactly. So during the full moon, when the energy pours in, whichever energy centers within us, the energy centers, the chakras that are most activated, that's the one that gets the most amount of energy and proportionally with the other ones. And since most people are stressed out of their minds about money, about health, about whatever else, at least in general, of course, a lot of you are exceptions, that's the solar plexus center. That's the one below the heart. So when you get stressed out, you feel a little nauseated, you feel like, whatever, right? Like heavy. So just imagine the majority of the population, that's the chakra that's very blocked or like big. So it can be blocked, as in blocked with stress energy, and it's so full with it, it's big. So when the energy pours in, everything gets magnified, and that guy gets bigger. Make sense? So that accounts for what they call werewolf syndrome. Everything gets magnified. Now, the interesting part is, if you study astrophysics a little bit, essentially it's a gravitational pull of the moon, but when it comes to the full moon, it's interesting. It's actually not the moon doing it. It's the sun. So if this is the Earth, the moon is over here, the sun is on this side. At any given time when the moon is going around the Earth, wherever that moon is, it's pulling. That's why the tides, right? But when it's aligned, the sun, the Earth, and the moon, just imagine you already have the moon pulling, and you add to it the energy of the sun, even though it's on the other side, it still magnifies the gravitational pull. So during the new moon and full moon, everything gets magnified. That's for a bunch of geeks that are interested. Regardless, it's the magnification effect. Okay? Now, many years ago, my teacher told me, he said, okay, make sure you guide them in full moon meditation because it's an opportunity for people to experience a deeper spirituality. In fact, the great Tibetan teacher, Holy Master Dwal Kul, said, through Alice Bailey, he said, the full moon is a time of opportunity or a time of crisis. I think you know why. For the general population, it's a time of crisis. Everything explodes. Right? In fact, I have certain friends and students that work in the emergency room, and they said, yep, they know it. If the full moon's coming up, especially the ones with psychological imbalances, they get irritated a lot. In fact, we have one student who used to work at the county jail or the city jail. As one of the officers, he says, yep, even the inmates come to him and says, hey, is it full moon? I feel like killing somebody, or something like that. So it magnifies stuff. And people who could be otherwise very calm, very relaxed, or easy to talk to, somehow they're a little bit sensitive these few days, right? So for the general public, it's a time of crisis. And then it calms down. Now, in your case, if you're on the spiritual path, you understand there's this magnification effect. It's like instead of a faucet, you're under a waterfall. So you go, okay, let me use it. So you can actually use that energy to flush out stuff that is normally difficult to flush out. Anger, stress, worry, right? Because there's a stronger flow of energy. So you're going to use it as a fire hose to flush it out and use that magnification effect to add more energy to the good qualities you want to cultivate. Love, compassion, spiritual connection, and so on and so on. Make sense? So with that, my teacher also said, in addition to the meditation, there should be a spiritual lecture. And so Every time we have full moon, there's a short lecture, so that it gives it context. And also for some of you who are just kind of dipping a tiny little toe into the lake of spirituality, hopefully it will encourage you to jump in. Okay? All right. Anyway. So back to the spiritual teacher or mentor. Without getting very, very mystical about it, it's as simple as this. Many of you might have noticed, the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Yeah? Agree? I think most of us do, right? Because you have a realization like the more you study, the more you understand the secrets of the universe or whatever it is you're studying, the more you realize, if this is how much I know, how much is there more that I don't know? And that's in the earthly life. That's in the material world. Right? That's why a lot of us seek teachers. We seek mentors, coaches. Right? Like one of the things I noticed when I'm at Tony Robbins' event, one of the things he always tells people, look, get a coach, a business coach, a personal coach, because number one, the coach can look at what's going on in your life objectively. If they can't, get rid of them. Okay? Objectively in the sense that they're not biased. They look at you and go, all right, this is what's happening. These are the things you need to improve. These are the things you need to get rid of. These are the things you need to enhance. So that's one of the main purposes, is to be able to look at it objectively. Because, hey, when we're swimming in it, guess what? Clarity is out the window. True? Just look at the lawyer. Even the lawyer, when they're being sued or in a court case, if they're let's see if I got this right, the defendant, even that lawyer who's an expert in the law needs a lawyer to sit with him. Why? To be able to look at it objectively from a third person and be able to give advice. So that's one of the reasons of having a spiritual teacher. Now, just teacher for now. Now, that's to navigate through life. Guess what, buddy? The spiritual world is many millions of times more vast than the material world. Not to mention, it's not like it's something you could see, oh, okay, if I touch this, ouch, that hurt, don't do that again. In the spiritual world, the energy world, it's made of pure energy and light. And some of us have glimpses of it. When we're meditating, we're praying, we see flashes of light. When our bodies are sleeping, we have dreams of we're flying, we're going somewhere. A lot of this is not something they teach in school. So if you have a qualified spiritual teacher, and I want to share this with you because, one of the things that, one of the names of a teacher in the Japanese tradition is sensei. If you've ever done martial arts before, you did karate, aikido, let's see, what's the other one? Hapkido, I think so. Anyway, any of the Japanese martial arts, you always call the teacher sensei. Now, the word sensei is actually, when you write it down, it's the same in the Chinese calligraphy as well as Japanese. It's two words. Sen and sei in Chinese is xian sheng in Mandarin. Now, interestingly, if any of you speak Mandarin, the word xian sheng means husband or mister. Not weird? Those same words. You look at the characters. You look at it in the Chinese edition, means Mr. or my husband. In Japanese, it means teacher. How could it be so different? Actually, if you go with what's written, it's the same. The word xian sheng, xian is first. Sheng is born. So in other words, the teacher is born ahead of you when it comes to this knowledge. In other words, they've experienced it more ahead of you. That qualifies them to tell you, hey, do this, don't do that. In fact, I remember growing up in the Chinese tradition, they always say, if you want to know what's in the destination, talk to the people who are there and on the way back. That you call that what? Experience. Okay? So, navigating in the material world as it is quite complicated. Navigating the spiritual world is even wilder. So, that's one of the reasons why in the Hindu tradition, they say, oh, I need the help and the blessings or the grace of the guru. The word guru basically means, if you break it down, gu, so I think some of you could see this screen. If you're on Instagram, I apologize, you can't. You can look it up anyway. The word guru means dispeller of darkness. Okay? Now, that has many levels of truth. Dispeller of darkness. When you say darkness, that could mean I don't see anything, it's dark. That's one interpretation. In the spiritual sense, darkness is ignorance. Right? Now watch. If you ever watch cartoons or, Sunday cartoons on your paper, when somebody has a great idea, ding! Okay, well, there's no sound effect, but you notice a light bulb. Light. So when they say dispeller of darkness, metaphorically, it means a person who is ignorant of a certain subject. Someone comes along, gives you that information, shines light on it, so I see it. Make sense? So that is the meaning of guru in the Hindu tradition on one level. Of course, later on we'll go deeper into it. Now, the question you should ask is, okay, that's nice, that's great, but how complicated could it be? Well, just kind of cite a few things for you. Number one, have you ever had a dream? It is so weird, so far out, you wake up like, what the heck just happened? I saw myself flying, and I saw these people, and we did this, and we did that. What does it mean? Or, here's another one. I'm doing my prayer meditation, and suddenly, I feel a shaking sensation. What is that? Or you're doing meditation, and then suddenly, you start crying. Then somebody asks you, why are you crying? I don't know, it just happened. Guess what? You're not going to read that in books. Or here's another one. You're talking to someone, and you look into their eyes. As you look into their eyes, you look through their eyes. Guess what? It's just like you bliss out of your mind. It's like, that is the weirdest thing, man. I look at his eyes, I look at her eyes, and suddenly it almost felt like I'm on drugs. Like, it feels so blissful. And somehow I just know this person. Try reading that in the book. I don't remember learning that in college. So a lot of these things, these experiences, are beyond the earthly life, beyond the body, the emotions, and the thoughts. They happen in the spiritual universe. So you need somebody who's been there, done that. So the purpose of a spiritual mentor or teacher is to say, hey, look, when you're meditating, when you start crying, it could be one of these things. Number one, you're crying because you're releasing. As a new spiritual energy, high frequency comes in, it displaces a lot of the old negative thoughts and emotions you have. As it goes out, that cleansing for some people could be slightly cathartic, if I say that right. It's like a catharsis. So it comes out so quickly, it's almost like it was forced out of you, in a good way. So that's why you cried. Oh, that's one possibility. Then some people, when they're meditating, they cry because, when you experience yourself as pure energy and light, and you feel yourself like, wow, I'm not imprisoned by this physical form, I can feel myself expanding, and you sense the suffering of other people, your loved ones, your friends, or other energy beings in the inner world, the spiritual world, you feel so much compassion for them, you have tears. And for some of you, in deep, deep meditation, you experience going home. In that sense of being home, or who you really are, where you come from, it's so joyful. Those are tears of bliss. And you have another one where people are crying after like they're meditating, the meditation's over, and you say, come back to your body, they start crying. It's because, what? I have to go back down there? This is nice. No stress, no this, no that, I'm just floating. Exactly. So just in those 4 or 5 instances, what happens to you? Next time you have a meditation, you experience any of those, you go, which one it is? Okay, then it's fine. I'm not going to panic. That's just one instance. How many more experiences do you have? So having a spiritual mentor or teacher allows you to have a richer spiritual experience because you get to know what's going on. Now, some of you go, yeah, but I trust. In our school, the way I was taught by my teacher is question everything. Now, some of you are going to freak out on this one, but I'll just tell you anyway. You see, when you're doing your meditation and spiritual practice, when you're experiencing the energy world, you still have to understand what is going on after the meditation. That's why we always say intuition is always balanced by the intellect. Otherwise, if you have all these experiences, but you don't understand it, you don't know how to apply it into your life. It's like a translation process. Now, many years ago, I remember waking up in the morning. I remember the dream. And the question I had before going to bed was, I want to know who my teacher is, my spiritual teacher. I want to know who my guru is. Woke up in the morning, more confused than going to bed. What I saw in that dream, you know, any of you been on the plane, you notice when you're at a certain altitude, you look out, you see it's a sea of clouds. Yeah? Okay. So, I saw a sea of clouds. Big deal, sea of clouds. Remember, my question was, who's my spiritual teacher, right? And I saw a bunch of bumps. Like, imagine instead of going like this, it's like, more than I can count. So many of them. And so, woke up in the morning, it's like, man, that is the weirdest dream, man. What is that? I was my spiritual teacher, I see a bunch of bumps on the sky. And then, somehow, when I went into meditation, you know, sometimes when you're practicing deep, deep stillness, you have a knowingness. And the answer that came through was, those were all your teachers. And then it was explained, what the understanding was, look, you start with kindergarten, you go all the way to university. How many teachers did you have? I don't know, 20, 30 of them? Did all of them teach you the same thing? No. Are they still around you all this time? No. When you're done with kindergarten, you don't see that teacher anymore, unless for social purpose, whatever, right? You go to first grade, somebody teach you science, somebody teach you math, somebody teach you this, teach you that, and each grade you go through, you have different teachers most of the time. So, you have spiritual teachers that come in, and let's say you're having a difficult time, and they just say, hey, don't do that. And then it prevented you from a major screw up. Or, you know, you're trying to make a very difficult decision, and somehow you just have this knowingness, like somebody almost like push you in that direction. And it end up being amazing, where your life took off like a rocket instead of down the toilet. And not a plumber. Get the idea? So this is what people call guides. These are souls, these are teachers in the energy world that guide us. So we have many, 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 many spiritual teachers. But in India, they say you have one Satguru. Satguru means is your permanent spiritual teacher that has been mentoring your soul for eons and eons of time. Now, let me warn you. Don't waste your time going to a psychic, to a seer, to whatever. I want to know who my spiritual teacher is, because I tried. I tried. I remember going to a very, probably the most advanced clairvoyant psychic you can think of, who was the one helping my teacher, Master Tsokokse. I said, Mang Mike, could you tell me who my inner guru is? No, I asked, do you know? First, that was my question. Do you know who it is? Or she is, right? He goes, yes. Well, what's the obvious question? Who? He goes, I cannot tell you. It's not allowed. I'm going, do I have to bribe this guy? Like, I begged, please tell me. Give me a hint. Give me a hint. You know, I begged whatever, everything else and everything in between. He says, no, it's not allowed. Every soul has to discover it on its own. So, you're going to go get a psychic, get a reading, hey, knock yourself out. Nobody will ever. It's one of those that only you, the real I, the spiritual self, will know and recognize. Now, I cannot possibly cover all the different type of experiences, right? That's why we have this Anchor the Light where we're here 6 times a week doing meditation and giving a little lecture. So hopefully that has contributed to your knowing of the spiritual world. And I never claim to be a guru. I'm just the little guy speaking for my teacher, okay? Anyway, I could recommend books, there's one classic book that I think most of you know of, and it was recommended to me by my teacher also. I don't have a copy, but I think most of you know. It's called Autobiography of a Yogi by the great teacher Paramahansa Yogananda, okay? And I remember many years ago when my teacher recommended to us, he said, you should read this book so you will know that your experience is not unique. When you experience exploding into light, when you experience becoming one with someone else, when you experience this and that, you will know you're not weird. Because that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, it is simple. He basically chronicled his spiritual life in India. And it's an amazing book. And if you don't like to read or you drive a lot, hey, get the audiobook. I don't get a commission, by the way, just want to let you know. I don't get a referral fee or whatever fee. I'm just sharing this with you because I benefit from it and I hope you will. Autobiography by Yogi, the author is Paramahansa Yogananda. And if you guys are typing, go ahead and type it out for the rest of the people if they can't understand my English. They have audiobooks with, I think, Ben Kingsley, the one who played Gandhi. He's narrating. It's amazing. Okay? So that gives you an idea. He has great respect for his teacher, and he learned this and he learned that. It's amazing. Now, before we continue, having a great teacher, having these teachings are amazing and wonderful, but completely useless if we don't absorb it and use it. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because I've met students who they go spiritual hopping. They learn one thing here, even they have not practiced, they jump to the next one, You talk to them, oh yeah, I took this seminar. There's seminar junkies. They read so many books, you look at their life, it's still a mess. Inner peace, only when they're smoking or taking drugs. I'm going, you know why? Because there's another factor that's important. No matter how good the instructions are for whoever your spiritual teacher is, you still have to practice it. I know, some of you go, isn't it obvious? It is so obvious, yet most of us miss it. We're looking for the next shiny thing. Oh yeah, this guru said if you chant this and stand on your head and an alien lands on your butt and suddenly you'll be enlightened. Ooh. You mean I don't have to sit for hours and meditate and do this and that? You mean I don't have to improve my character? I just do this and then this switch and boom, I'll be enlightened? If you believe that, I feel sorry for you. What's my point? One of the things my teacher always said is practice independent, intelligent evaluation. What is it? Independent, think for yourself. Intelligent, don't swallow everything blindly, and evaluate. Basically, he says, study and analyze the teachings, experiment, and make your own conclusion. In fact, one great teacher, probably one of the greatest teachers, said, don't believe it just because it's written in holy books. Don't believe it just because it's believed by the public or the population. Do not believe it just because it makes a great sensation. And the last one he said, which is really that hits you in the head, he says, don't believe it just because I said it. Of course, we're talking about the Buddha, the Lord Buddha. And for some of you who have studied a little bit more, just imagine you have someone, the energy field, the aura is bigger than the planet. Somebody that's spiritually advanced. It's just like Einstein talking to an infant. That's the difference between us and him. or probably bigger. And yet somebody that great would say, don't take things blindly. Don't believe something. And the key words, just because. Only believe it after you studied it, have the personal experience with it. That's the only time you believe it. Which leads me to the next point is the purpose of the guru is not for you to worship him or her. The purpose of the guru, which the word says, dispeller of darkness, is to help us dispel our ignorance and be filled with light. Now, let's clarify that a little bit before we do our meditation. All of you who've studied science know that there's no such thing as absolute darkness. You have two rooms, one's brighter than the other. The darker room simply has less light. If you have equipment that's sufficiently sensitive, it's almost infinitely less and less and less and less, and you never stops. Assuming you do a thought experiment like Einstein did. So, in other words, you cannot suction out darkness out of a room. The only way you get rid of darkness is to fill it with light. Now, there lies the secret. And today, this full moon is dedicated to the spiritual teacher, Guru Purnima. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then if any of you want to know more, after this meditation at 7 o'clock, if you go to pranichealing.com, I go into more detail on that, and we separate it because this is more for most of you who are new, haven't studied a lot. That one is for people who have studied a little bit and want to go deeper. Okay? Now, here's the bottom line. The purpose of the guru is to dispel our ignorance of who we really are. Let me clarify. Especially for the ones who are new, this is always what we do. And if you've listened to this 1,000 times, sorry, you're going to hear it one more time. When I have you move your body, what are you doing? You're moving your body. Who's moving it? You say, I am. When I say feel happiness, joy, anger, whatever feelings that you want, what are you doing? I am feeling those emotions. So in other words, the emotions were created by someone. You said, who? I am. I am happy. I am angry. I am this. So in other words, before the emotion was there, you were around, you created it. So you're the feeler. And next is thoughts. Apple, house, car, floor, whatever. So before you thought of that thing, you already existed. So the thinker manufactured these thoughts. So who is this mover of the body, feeler of the feelings, thinker of the thoughts? You say, I am. Who is this I am dude? You say, me, I. Define it. Well, the easiest way to look at it is in the Italian language. They call the soul anima, where the word animate comes from. So the I animates the body, creates the feelings, creates the thoughts. So the question is, what is this anima or soul made of? You go, what's easy? Energy. Define it. Well, the smart guy, Einstein, said E is equal to mc squared. Stop there. That E has M. Have you ever weighed the soul? Nope. Exactly. So it has no mass. Okay. So what is it? That's why you define it as spiritual energy, not your regular energy in physics. The closest thing in physics you could possibly mimic it with is light. However, spiritual energy breaks the E is equal to mc square rule because it can travel faster than the speed of light. Consciousness can travel faster than the speed of light. Then you're really screwed. You go, oh, there goes my physics. Hold on, just relax. You see, it's something like this. All of us have studied science, and you know of the 3 dimensions. Length, width, height. That's 3 dimensions. And then there's the 4th dimension, which is time. Actually, Einstein says, actually, it's not space and time, it's actually space-time. Because when you tell someone, hey, I meet you tomorrow, specifying a time, what's the next question? Where? And when you say, I'll meet you at the park, the next question people ask you is, when? So as you're moving from one place to the other, you're going through time. So it's called space-time. That's the fourth dimension. But you see, consciousness is one or two more dimensions above it. Now, the easiest way to understand is like this. If I have a piece of paper, okay, and I have a marble, that marble is a two-dimensional being. It only goes forward, backward, left, right. In other words, just like that. Forward, back, just two dimensions. Length, width, and everything else in between. Height is one dimension above, so that marble does not understand what height is unless you go like that. So the earthly life is primarily four dimensions. But you notice when you're doing a deep meditation, you don't feel your butt in the chair. Emotionally, mentally, everything's quiet, nothing's moving, and yet you are conscious. And oftentimes when you go to the meditation, after the meditation, guess what? You guys go, how long was that? And I'll usually tell you, oh, that was 10 minutes. You were in science 10 minutes. Really? I don't even realize time was going through. In fact, some of you in meditation, this is what you do. What happened? You went down so deep that you had to kind of remind yourself, oh, it's time to breathe. Sounds familiar? Now, why are we talking about this? One of the main purposes of a spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, guru, shifu, sensei, whatever word you want to use, is to help you remember who you are, that you are a being of light. Not so that you will worship the teacher. The purpose of the teacher is to help you discover your own light. That's why I always share with our students. I go, you know how Master Choa taught me? He'd say, do this, do that, do this, do this, do that, do this, this, and explain everything to him. And he goes, in the end, you decide, do whatever you want. I go, after he explained everything to me, and then, what am I, a dummy? With all these experiences, of course I will follow. But it is my choice. He never said, you have to do this. Because I remember, and some of you from India know this, you can lead a horse to water, but what? You cannot force it to drink. The way Master Choa explained it is like this. He says, the teacher will point to the door, but the student still has to go through it. You have to walk through it. Of course, the Buddha said in a certain way, he said, okay, if you come from a Christian background, I know this kind of contradicts it, but you look at it in a bigger picture. In the Buddhist tradition, it says everyone is responsible for their own salvation. That's what the Buddha said. Now, let's clarify that. What do you mean by salvation? Let's not talk about it from the Judeo-Christian tradition. Let's look at it from the energy viewpoint and the soul. After this, we'll meditate. Promise, I'll shut up. Okay? When you're in deep meditation, it's so still and so quiet. You don't feel anything. You're not thinking anything. It's just, right? Now, everyday people, when we're going through life, as we react to what's going around us, physically, you might have pain, or emotionally, you might be upset, or you may be emotionally attached to something, desire something. Your mind could be fixated on stuff, or too many things going on, you feel confused, or your mind is confused. So what happens is, if you sum up all these things, the experiences of the body, the emotions, and the thoughts, at some point, it becomes our identity. Make sense? So when it becomes our identity, if something doesn't go well with your body, you think all hell is breaking loose. If emotionally you're upset, you're jealous, or somebody's driving you crazy, and you allow that to fill you up and run your life, you're suffering. Same thing with your mind is thinking of something so much, it affects your health, your relationship, everything else. It's like it's a living hell. So, that said, when you're doing meditation, you're what? Quieting the room. You try to kind of, okay, I don't feel that. I just want to have some stillness, quiet, and what are you doing? You see, when you say salvation in the bigger sense, you have to ask yourself, saving yourself from what? You say, hell. That's what I was taught in church. Okay, let's talk about it. Well, how come some people experience hell while in the physical world? Because the body, the emotions, the thoughts have their tendencies. If there's something you want so bad and you cannot have it, you call it suffering. You stretch it long enough, it's like hell. Isn't it? So when you say salvation, in that context, salvation is, I believe and I understand that everything is happening outside of the I. This is the body responding to it. This is my emotion responding to what's going on. These are my thoughts. So when I do my spiritual practice and meditation, I am personally responsible from pulling myself out of it and realize that all these things are happening outside of the I. And at that point, guess what happens? People call it spiritual liberation. Now, as you do this over and over again, you start noticing something interesting. You start noticing that when a similar situation comes up, you don't react like you used to before. And the more you do this meditation and spiritual practice, you start noticing that, well, things happen. But anyway, pain happens. You heard this before. Pain happens, but suffering is a choice. Because the suffering is directly related to our response to what's going on out there. That's why you can have people where life, from other people's perspective, is not well, but they're happy. Because they've been able to learn to say, hey, this is happening outside the I. So they have spiritual liberation without dying. That's it. So when all is said and done, after this we'll meditate. I've been saying that for like 20 minutes. I remember my teacher said, there's so many different techniques, so many different schools, so many teachings, but the most important thing you have to impart on the students is to realize that they are the soul, they're the spiritual self. And they're one and connected to the higher soul and ultimately one with God. That's the most important teaching of all. In layman's term, make sure everyone realizes they are a being of light, part of a universal light, which is God. Because let's face it, whatever is going through your life, good or bad, whatever you accumulate, you can take it with you when you leave your body. True? And when you say you leave your body, what does that mean? In many traditions, they say, oh, I go into nothingness. Nothingness, like you talk to a Buddhist monk who's meditating. What are you doing? I'm meditating on nothingness. So what are you meditating on? Nothing. So, right? Because we're going nothing means we're looking for something they're focusing on. But in reality, when they say nothingness, that means they're putting their awareness on nothing. No thing. Devoid of matter. Pure energy, which is their spiritual self. That's that. Shall we meditate? So I hope if you're new, we didn't freak you out and drove you crazy. The purpose of this is to just let you get a glimpse of what the spiritual life is. And here's the best news of all. As you spend time in your spiritual world, doing your meditation and spiritual practice, more and more of it seeps through your brain and nervous system. So in everyday life, you notice you're less reactive to situations. Oftentimes, when you're dealing with something, you're able to see it from a higher perspective, beyond the body, the emotions, and the thoughts. People call it intuition. You're able to regulate your body, your emotions, and your thoughts, so people can now lean on you rather than you being a pain to somebody else. Because you're able to regulate your thoughts, your emotions, and you become someone who can help others. That's it. So I hope this full moon lecture, you learned something from it. And let's just show our deep gratitude to all the teachers we've had before. Let me just add one more thing to that. Just hear me out on this one. My teacher used to say, you have to have respect for all teachers. And then somebody will say, yeah, but how many years ago I had this terrible teacher. You know what he said? You have to respect that guy too. Why? Because at the minimum, he taught you what not to do. We go, ding! Make sense? So, the last piece, and then we're done. You remember I said earlier, no matter how great the teachings are, no matter how great your teacher is, you still have to be able to apply it. Whatever your teacher, he or she taught you, that requires one thing: receptivity. And receptivity comes from gratitude. If you're not grateful that now you know something yet you didn't know a few minutes ago, your level of conductivity is like trying to conduct electricity with a piece of plastic. You want to be gold, silver, copper, super conductive. That's it. All right, shall we? Okay, take your left hand, tap your heart center, take your right hand, tap your crown. Be aware of your heart and crown. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Now, put your hand like this in blessing position. Imagine someone you love in front of you. Could be your spouse, your children, parents, friends, anyone. Be aware of your heart, be aware of your hands, fill them with beautiful pink light. And just say, from my heart to yours, I shower you with love and much affection, unconditionally. And fill them with beautiful pink light. Now be aware of your crown. Imagine golden light from your crown flowing down through your hands and filling this person. Fill them with beautiful golden light. And just say, may you be blessed with inner peace and divine love and inner light. So be it. Now we'll share this love, not just with one person, but the entire earth. We'll do the meditation Twin Hearts, as taught to us by my teacher, Grandmaster Twakok Sui. Be aware of your heart, be aware of your hands. Just say, our hearts are one, our crowns are one, our souls are one, our spirits are one. There is only oneness. Now be aware of your heart, be aware of your hands. Fill the earth with golden light. Fill the earth with pink light. Just like you bless that loved one with pink and gold, fill the earth with pink and gold. Keep going. You and I are just the channels and the pipelines. Now, be aware of your heart, be aware of your hands. Imagine even more beautiful and brighter pink light pouring out of our hearts through our hands and blessing our families, our relatives, our friends. Let the beautiful pink light just keep spreading to the city, the state, the country. Let it spread throughout the entire earth. We'll use the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, a universal prayer. Lord, or universal spirit, make me an instrument of your peace. Wherever there's hatred anywhere in the world, let me sow unconditional love. Bless your family, your friends, the people you work with. Bless everyone on earth with peace and with love. Where there's injury, let me sow pardon and forgiveness. And just silently follow to whoever I've hurt, in however way I've hurt you. I'm very sorry, I've learned from my mistakes. I humbly ask for your forgiveness. Thank you for your forgiveness. And I forgive myself. To all who have hurt me, we are all children of God, we are all growing and evolving. Evolution involves time, process, and lots of mistakes. I've learned from mine, so can you. To all who have hurt me, I send you love, joy, and peace You are all completely forgiven. May you be blessed with inner peace and inner healing. May you also grow and learn from your mistakes. So be it. Where there's doubt, faith, where there's despair, hope. Let's think of people we know going through difficult and challenging times right now. Many are suffering with their health, their finances, their relationships, even their mental health. Visualize their lives turning around. Fill them with beautiful pink light. Bless them with a new hope and a new faith that life will get better. So be it. Where there's darkness, let me sow light. Bless everyone with this spiritual light, an awakening and realization of their true nature, a being of light, having an earthly journey. And where there's sadness, let me sow a tremendous amount of joy. So be it. Be aware of your heart in your hands and just keep flooding the earth with peace, with love, with a spirit of forgiveness, with hope and with faith, with light and joy. So be it. So be it. Now, be aware of your heart. Inhale. Be aware of your crown. Exhale and stay there. Your crown is filled with so much golden light. Let that golden light just flow down from your crown through your hands and bless your family, your loved ones and friends. And let that love just keep expanding to the entire earth. Just say, we are one. Our hearts are one, our souls are one, our spirits are one. From the heart of God, through my soul, through my entire being, may every person, every being on earth be blessed with love and kindness. Let all be blessed with great joy and happiness, with understanding, harmony, and divine peace. May all be blessed without exception. So be it. So it is. Now be aware of your heart, be aware of your crown. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Imagine even brighter light pouring out of our hands, filling up the entire earth, multidimensionally. From the center of the heart of God, through my soul, through my entire being, may every person, every being, in every dimension, every direction above and below, be blessed with God's unconditional love and kindness. May all be blessed with inner peace, inner healing. May all be blessed with understanding, with harmony, goodwill, and the willingness to do good. So be it. May all be blessed. So be it. Now lower your hands. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Above your head, imagine a beautiful, brilliant golden star. Just look at it. The image doesn't have to be clear. Just know it's there. Be aware of your heart. Send a stream of love from your heart up to the crown and into that golden light. And stay there. Be still. You're not the body, you're not the emotion, you're not the thoughts. You are a being of light. Remember who you are. Be still and know who you really are. That brilliant being of light. And listen. Om. 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 Be still. Remember who you are. Your true essence. Nothingness. Just pure energy with consciousness. That's the real I. Be still and let go. Now. Just let things be. Let go. Gently, slowly, come back to your body. Move your fingers, move your toes. Gently and slowly, come back to your body now. Take your time, just settle back into your physical form. I know some of you are still floating. Take your time. Now raise your hands. Visualize the people you love in your life. Fill them with beautiful golden light. May all of them be blessed with good health, with happiness, with prosperity, and with spirituality. So be it. So be it. And so it is. Now be aware of your feet, your hands, and the base of your spine. Put your golden light down into the earth. Let our beloved Mother Earth be blessed with divine light, divine love, and divine power. Let our beloved Mother Earth be healed, regenerated, and revitalized. Blessings be to Mother Earth and all her children and all of creation. So be it. So be it. And so it is. Okay, open your eyes. Now what we usually do during the full moon is have you bring out all your goals, your aspirations, your wishes, better job, better health, better relationship, whatever it is. I had you write it down. The ones who are new, I just want you to picture it. The whole idea is you have all this energy. You want to aim that fire hose at it to make it stronger. Okay? So go ahead and pull out all your goals you've written down. Okay? The ones who've done this before. If you're new, just picture in front of you. Just picture the outcome, not the way to get there. If you want money, it's not what you want. It's not the money. It's what money will get you. Make sense? So just picture what you want as the end result. Okay, everybody raise your hands. Say, we are one. We are one. Now fill those goals and aspirations and wishes with massive amounts of golden light. Visualize it already happening. Fill it with beautiful golden light. Golden light has consciousness. Just visualize it happening already. Smile. Be happy about it. Fill it with lots of good energy, lots of good emotions and thoughts, and lots of golden light. Just say, with God's blessings and in divine order, so be it, so be it, so it is. Om, Amen, Amin, Tatastu, and so it is. All right, open your eyes. I hope you had a good experience. And just a few announcements. Then there's a 7 o'clock one. Again, we go dive more into it. If this is too much for you already, then no need. But if you want to, just to quickly, it's going to be on praniking.com. It's not going to be on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's just going to be at the website, praniking.com. You go there, that's the only portal. Okay? So, pranikhealing.com, it should be right there in your face. All right. So, thank you very much for joining. And some of you who want to know more, this Saturday we're actually having an introductory workshop. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, on feng shui. You know, how to align your house, align your meditation room, why we face east when we meditate. It has nothing to do with the sun, like most people think. Okay, it's to do with the frequency coming in. We'll talk about that. And also, self-healing is also part of it. Because once you know energy, you can use it for your health, you can use it to arrange your environment. It's basically harnessing that universal life force that's around us. Okay? So I think I've done my job. And if you're new, welcome. We do these crazy things like meditate 6 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m., 6 p.m., California time. You go figure out the calculation of where it is, wherever you are. But thank you very much for joining us. We're leaving this meditation online, so you can come back to it. If you notice I spoke too fast, you didn't get it, you can rewind it. If you got bored, you can fast forward it, whatever you want. So, namaste. Thank you very much, and we appreciate all your feedback. Leave some feedback there, and we'll see you Monday morning. And the ones who want to join me for the next session, give me 5 minutes to go pee. And then we'll see you at 7 p.m. 7 few minutes after that. Okay. Namaste. You all take care. God bless. And happy Guru Purnima.